everybody, Caleb here in the Rosa String Works workshop. Today I've got this old fiddle. Now this old fiddle came in from the same customer that had that Gibson J185 that I worked on, and similar to that, this is another old family instrument. Now this one's not going nearly as far as that Gibson was, and it really doesn't need as much as that Gibson did, but it does need a little bit of TLC to get it up in a little better condition. You can see them old strings on there. So pretty much we're going to be cleaning this one up, making it so it will play, but it is mostly going to be a wall hanger. So I'm going to set it down and we can get started taking this thing apart. Well, now that I got this all taken apart for the most part, these strings are kind of tied on here weird. Well, some of them are, and some of them are, I don't know. You look at this, it's kind of a mess. The ball ends don't exactly fit through at all, so I gotta come back out this way. This one's been tied on with a piece of something, some kind of steel maybe. And this one is the only one is looped around for some reason. Just that one. It's definitely making me think they're mismatched sets. I'm not going to throw those away. I'm going to send those back with the violin. You know, they might be a sentimental thing. So I'll wrap them up and get them in a bag. But for this, I've got some cleaning to do. I think I'm going to get a damp, not really wet, but a damp cloth and wipe this down. And then really some boiled linseed oil will really help this top. And probably a couple of coats. So I'll start with that. Well, I've gone ahead and started putting some boiled linseed oil on the top of this. You can probably tell it's definitely a little more full of color. While I have the chin rest off, I'm going to put some felt on the metal piece. This is on the bottom, and I think I'm going to put some on the top piece, just on the parts that kind of clamp against the fiddle. That way they don't, you know, leave any marks or scratch up anything they shouldn't. So I've gone ahead and got the stick-on felt. So now that it's stuck on there, what I'm going to do is stick it kind of on the side of the table here. Take my X-Acto knife and cut off the extra. That way none of that sticky is going to get stuck to anything else. Of course nothing works quite like you want it to. Maybe I'll try the scissors. The X-Acto knife's not working very well. Scissors work pretty good. What little's left I can kind of fold over on it. Now it's got felt on the bottom. That way it won't scratch up the violin. So now that Jerry came back in from lunch, he was showing me about setting this back up. And here's the bridge that was on it. And here's a new uncut bridge. Give you an idea of the difference in size. Now that pencil line is right about where it should be cut. So it's a lot smaller. It's been cut down probably way too much. But seeing as this violin's going to be mostly a wall hanger, not a player. The customer who owns it isn't a violin player. He just wants to have it on show, wants to have strings on it. I am going to fit the old bridge back to this. The feet don't match the top of the violin, so I am going to sand them down to match. And it's also too thick, so I'm going to take some thickness off of it, because anything we can do to help this is going to be good. So I've got the bridge fitting to the top now. I took the sandpaper and I kind of ran it back and forth, made sure it was in place. And since it's in place, it's looking pretty good. I've gone ahead and got some strings for it as well. These new Zmar custom violin strings. They sent these to us to try them out. They're silver core aluminum wounds. Here you can see the back. If it'll focus, you can pause it and read that if you want to. Anyways, they sent these to us for us to try them out. So that's what I'm going to put on here. Well, I've got all 4 strings on it. And they're very, very close to being in tune. One of the things I'm noticing is it's a little high at the nut. It's a little high throughout, but we knew that. That being said, if we get it a little closer at the nut, that should help a little bit. And that's an easy one to do. So I went ahead, and I think you saw me do a little bit of filing on this nut, and you can see the strings are sitting, well, it'll focus. Them strings are sitting really low now, like they should be. So I think we're good there. One other thing with this is this tailpiece is sitting like really far up. You know, there's a lot of wire hanging over here, and that's not really right for a good violin. But seeing as it's not a huge problem, and we're trying not to spend any more than we have to on this thing, I'm going to leave it. It's mostly going to be a wall hanging instrument, you know, but it's going to have strings and you could play it. We were never meant to make this a really nice player, you know, just make it so it would play and it'd look good. So it's good the way it is, and I'm going to start putting this thing all the way back together. So I'm going to go ahead and put the chin rest back on. Well, I got the chin rest back on here. And, you know, this thing's set up to be a very nice wall hanger. And that's really what it's going to be. We did a lot to, you know, help this thing along. We're putting the felt on the chin rest, getting the bridge to fit the top a little bit better, and cleaning the thing up, you know. Cleaning some of the dust out of the inside. We really did help this thing last, you know, a little while longer. So we didn't do nothing for this violin, but we really didn't, you know, help the functionality all that much, truly. Because ultimately this is going to be more of a wall hanger than a player. I asked Jerry if he wanted to play it, and he wasn't too keen on it. You know, it is going to be a wall hanger, so it's not really the easiest to play. Inevitably there are going to be some people who aren't happy with where we left this, but we did what we should have done with this, I think. The best that we could do with what needed to be done with this. Thanks for watching. Leave us a thumbs up if you would, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Well, one last thing on this violin. We're going to go ahead and put a new handle on the case. The old one is junk. So, this was something we talked to the customer about. And that's the last point I want to make, is we've done everything we talked about doing with the customer. So, ultimately, that the customer is happy is the most important thing on this one.